nothing. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. All right, thank you for that, Happy. So, yeah, I didn't notice that. All right, that's like been happening to me quite a bit now. That's annoying. So, yeah, thank you very much for that. I could have gone on the whole stream without realizing. So, yeah, this has only been a couple of minutes. Alright, at the moment what I'm trying to do is find out the best practice of putting the URLs into a folder and splitting them up. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm trying to do. So I could have URLs here and then import the URLs up here. I think that's a bit messy. Another thing I could potentially do is with the URLs here, I'm importing NearBeach.urls. I could just go NearBeach.urls.base or something like that and have it split up like that, and then, yeah, have a base and then subfolders from there. Which honestly would be really easy to do. But yeah, we'll read up what other people have done when they needed to split up their URLs, because I don't want the URLs to be in here, like a dozen URLs in here. I just want at least a folder and put everything in a folder. Forms, etc. are presented in both sets of views. I feel like it makes sense that these are handled in the apps. So and they got like something like that. All right. Nothing in the document saying you must be in. Yeah. Also include other variables. Yep. All right. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to do that too. So we are going to create a directory. We're going to call it URLs. And we're just going to move this into there. I'm going to refactor it into there. We do need to go into the local URLs and .urls in there too. That way it knows where it is. Now, another thing which I might do is, instead of having the URLs like that, I might just call it base. And that then gives me the ability to add in a couple more files. I could go public API, and then I can go internal API. Or I might go API public and API internal. That way I can split out the API stuff. So this works perfectly fine. This is the authentication stuff. That will be perfectly fine in here. I'm happy with that being in there. I do need to go into here and go base like this. Now the idea is in here I will import all the API stuff. But that will happen before this. So we can actually go alphabetical order. So I can go API up here. I'm just going to have a quick look at how I used to do this, because I know I did something really, really simple. As you see, I split it up into 3 different files back then. As you also can tell, I imported all the Vue stuff. So yeah. Admin users. I don't know where I put the API stuff in here. Yeah, I don't think it's part of that. No, I want to minimize that. I want to minimize the views. We did all the registering in here. But I'm just trying to remember where I put this. And we got the two-factor too, and we separated that out into here so it didn't get lost. And then the URLs was the base of everything. All right, we did that in here. If I go URLs API, it's only on this side. All right, then how did I connect it up? What magic did I do? Because in here, I included that, and I think it's just going to be that. I just do something similar with the APIs. Yeah. And if I go to the API version 0, and got it all like that. This will be pretty much the same. All right. I am going to search up here, version 0 API. I'm going to try and find something in here. All right, nothing. Nothing, but we do have a commit. All right, I want to have a look at that. Okay, yeah. I don't know how I connected them. All right, not a problem. I actually do have the old version on here still. So I'm just going to go cd NearBeach 0.31. We're going to go grep. We are going to search for. Now I'm pretty sure it's. It might be API then version 0. Like so. All right. So it's picked up a lot in the schema. A lot in that file. A lot in the test. I really should have narrowed this one down. All right, cool. So I should test this only in NearBeach with .py files. All right, only in NearBeach. All right, we do have a bunch of API files. We have a bunch in the tests. All right. It's just describing the objects and stuff like that. Those are all the tests, which is not what we want. That's a static file. Static file, static file. Right, might be easier to do it on here. So what I want to do, scroll all the way up to the top. If it lets me, I want to type in API version 0. And that's where I've got it. All right, cool. Oh, I've done it at the settings. All right. Yeah, but I don't have that anymore. I would have removed it. All right. I kind of want to include it in here. All right. We'll get rid of that. We're going to go NearBeach.urls. We want the public facing first, and then what we want to do is you want internal, like that. So this is looking really, really neat at the moment. I'm liking this. Now I just need to fill out this, which we will. So to fill that out, what we want to do is we actually want to have a look at the old URLs. So I just want to go into NearBeach. I want to go down into the API one. We're not going to copy all of this. Actually, screw it, we are going to copy all of it. But we're going to delete all of it, most of it, for because it doesn't work anymore. So for starters, we've got the Django URLs path and include the REST framework simple router. We're not going to worry about any of that for the moment. We're not going to worry about any of that. We're not going to worry about any of that or any of that. Now, one thing I could actually do if I undo all of that, there is the Coffee API in there. I might copy that over. So that would be under Views, API, and it's just the Coffee API view. And why am I re-implementing? It's a good test script and stuff like that to make sure that the API is working. It's also an Easter egg, so it doesn't matter if it's broken. What I want to do is we've got NearBeach. We're okay with that. We're okay with that. We're going to open up this. We're going to open up the API. I'm just going to go in and create a new file, and it's going to be coffee. Actually, we're going to copy the same, Coffee API view. And we're just going to enter everything that we got in there. So we are excluding this from this schema because this is meant for as a joke. It's not meant for NearBeach whatsoever. We've got no serializers classes attached to this. This is all static methods, which is going to be quick and easy. It's the whole sorry, I'm a teapot joke. This would be good for testing purposes to make sure we've got our URLs connecting up correctly. Now, another great thing is we're moving into version 1 for the API. Which also kind of means that I've got to rename this kind of like this. The reason being is, yes, we are deleting version 0. Version 0 won't port over very, very well unless we do some heavy sort of lifting to get it to port over. But it gives, having a version 1 in here gives us the ability, if we start doing version 2, we can have them run at the same time. and not conflict with each other. Because there'll be different folders. We'll have API version 2 folder. So yeah, that gives us the ability to slowly deprecate APIs. All right, Socks. Sorry, sweetie, you're in my way. All right, so we're going to link up the Coffee API first. Once again, none of these actually have anything in there. That's fine for the moment. So I'm going to delete a lot of these, like so. Available data, we don't need any of that. Object data, we don't need any of that. Sorry, we just need to get rid of that. So we've just got this one at the moment. This will be expanded, hence I'm leaving it in that sort of format. So we just need to delete that. We then need to delete 11 from that. Yeah. All right, cool. And that's it. That's what we've got here at the moment. If I hit restart, that will tell me if anything's going to go wrong. It does. What are you eating? That's a pen. It's a bad habit. Don't chew your pens. Yeah, things are broken. Now, we'll also need to do the same thing with the internal one. So we've got that at the moment, but that being said, I'm just going to close all these because I'm getting really confused with all of that open at the moment. I'm just going to go down here. We're going to open up URLs. We're going to open up base. So we've got our base URL. We're going to comment. We're going to comment out the internal URLs until we need it. We just want to get the API version 1 proof of concept done. So we're going to go in here, we're going to go localhost. That'll take us to our login screen. Great news. But our API, oh, we might need to be logged in, Socks. She's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm just going to bat your mic all the way across the room. So we're going to go version 1, and then we're going to type in coffee. Yeah, we need to be logged in. Not a problem. What we're going to do is we're going to log in as the admin. And then we're going to go version 1, coffee, not found. All right. So I've probably got the URL wrong. So version 1, all right. I mean, possibly. Let's have a look at the API public. We do have coffee. Okay. Now, in theory, we should have hit this first. Template does not exist. REST framework API. All right. I might not have reset up the REST framework. All right, not a problem. We're going to stop this at the moment. We're going to collapse this. We're going to reopen this. We are going to open up local. We're going to open up our settings and go. All right, cool. In here, we don't have the REST framework booted up. I've been working on a Mac all day. My shortcuts are... I'm using the wrong shortcuts. All right, so we're happy with that. We're happy with that. We're just going through. I just commented out stuff we didn't need. We will need spectacular. And GB, how are you going? Hopefully you're going well. Have you been streaming lately? I know your Discord goes off like there's no tomorrow. But I keep forgetting. Are you still on a break? All right. We'll also need. We'll need one-time password. We won't need two-factor. We're actually rolling our own 2FA. NearBeach middleware handle error pages. We won't be doing that anymore. Django one-time password, we're now removing that. All right, templates, we're happy with that. Pretty good so far, that's good. I haven't streamed, only streaming Discord. Okay, cool, yep. I can't give you a shout out there, sorry. All right, with the REST framework, we're bringing all of this back. So we've got the authentication session and Knox authentication. Yep, so we've got all of that. We're all happy with that. Knox security, we're happy with. I think that will be fine like that. And then we're getting down into the AWS sort of stuff. Two-factor, we're not worried about the TFA anymore. Spectacular, I think it's the last. Oh no, it's no longer the last settings. We do have one-time password, which I should do that. Let's hit debug. Let's hope for the best. I can't see because Socks is in the way. I'm assuming the server is running, so I'm just going to hit refresh. Hello, did you want to make some tea? Perfect. I do have a Twitch channel, but a ways to go because time's... Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Fully understand. I still got to properly set up my OBS. I haven't done it. We need to make this look nice. I'm just leaning into my terrible design really heavily. Alright, so we've done that one. Now let's look at implementing the NearBeach views, API version 1, authentication view. So we've got this. If I bring out the coffee one, and we just do that. There's a reason why I'm going to do this. We won't call it this. It will be authentication. View set. Did you try Django with HTMX? No, I haven't yet. I just haven't had time. I do know on the Twitch side of things there is someone who comes in and talks about it. But yeah, I haven't yet. Just haven't had time. NearBeach is taking up a lot of my spare time outside of work. But it is something I do want to try out. I'm interested in new technology and other different frameworks and languages and so forth like that. Who knows? I might surprise stream to Twitch one day. Fair enough. Fair enough. There you go. I'll make sure that I'm following you, just in case. All right, so we've got the authentication view. We'll extend schema, exclude. Yeah. We'll exclude the schema. Which reminds me, if I go to swagger.nearbeach, this is just double checking. Yeah, coffee isn't in here whatsoever. So yeah, we don't want this login appearing in there. That being said, if people are like, no, I want to log in using the API for this and this reason, I'll be like, maybe, all right, well, there will be OAuth. All right, why is that one complaining up there? Yeah, it's imports. Of course, there are going to be duplicates. Anyway, sorry. There's certain times where you don't care about duplicate code. This is it. This is it. You know. So serial class none. We've got the create now. We're not going to be creating any users using this. There'll be other tools for user management. In this sort of case, I want to see if we can still access this logged out. So give me 2 seconds. Sorry, I just want to log out here. cool. We're logged out. We're going to go to the API version 1 coffee. No, you can't. All right. I need to exclude that. Ooh, sorry. I'm sorry for those on Twitch. I didn't realize an ad was running. So, yeah, I was deep in thought. You didn't miss much. I've just realized that I need to make sure that this particular API endpoint isn't behind a login screen because the person needs it to log in. So, I'm trying to remember. We did that the other day. I'm just going to do that. We're going to edit the API internal very, very quickly. So that will be URLs. I'm opening up the public. The reason being is it's going to be pretty much the same code at the start, except with coffee, it's going to be authentication. And this is where it sort of changes stuff. This will be authentication API view, like so, and then we go into here and we just go authentication view set, and then we go authentication like so there. We don't need that comma at the end. This is not inside of an array. Okay, so we're logged out. If the user goes here, we don't want that forwarding on. Now, I know I set this the other day. Oh, sorry, just saw back. I'm trying to remember where I did it. There was something I did. What did I do? Oh yeah, we'll need to move private media. That will actually go into utilities. Yeah, refactor that into there. Pull request template. Why is that at this level? Oh, I think I know why. Where's my delete? Oh, we don't need safe delete. It'll just delete it. That's fine. The readme. Oh God. Oh no. Oh wow. That's an old version of NearBeach. All right, have a look at that image. All right, where's features? Hold on. I'm going to try and find that image. Features. Oh, piss off. Let me actually copy the freaking URL. Wow. That's what... Sorry, back. That's what NearBeach used to look like when I was first designing it. Terrible. Man, that brings back memories. But it was very, very simple back then. All right, we are getting distracted. I meant to delete this file. Robotic head still GitHub fetch. That's where. All right, cool. I'm just going to delete that. The license can be deleted. The requirements actually sadly have to be in here. That's just due to our reasons. Contributing does not need to be in here anymore. Code of conduct does not need to be in here anymore. Context processor. That still will be. Oh. It won't be anymore. So at the moment, if I go to prod, oops, sorry, socks, I'm just, it won't be on the, all right. No, it won't be on this one. Yeah, it's slowly coming along nicely, the redesign and all that kind of stuff. This one I can actually, this page I can show. That context stuff, what that does is that gets out the Django version number and the NearBeach number and so forth like that. I don't think it needs to be here anymore because I believe we can get it from, we can get that information in the API. Whereas this is for the templating stuff. So we can delete this. The apps, yeah, that one doesn't change. The admin, yeah, that one's not changing whatsoever at the moment. The init, yeah, that one's like that. So yeah. All right, now that I've deleted a bunch of stuff, application to the trying to remember where I did this. Because yeah, the idea is authentication. NearBeach authentication. All right, yeah, but with the API version 1, we pull in the internals, and we've got authentication. I'm gonna log in, see if I have the same problem. I did need it. All right, not a problem. In those sort of cases, what we do, we get rid of this. We go git checkout NearBeach we paste that in like that. Git status. All right, git checkout NearBeach. That's the thing. All right. Git checkout. We do that. You know what? It's gonna give me grief. What I can do: copy NearBeach context thing. I'm just gonna shove it back into NearBeach. There we go. It's there. There we go. Don't know why it wanted that file. Oh, it's probably over here. That's where it is. It's here. So we've added it into here. That's... Yeah, we won't need it. He's done. We just get rid of it. We're happy with that. Okay. Yep, cool. We're going to log in as admin. Easy done. We're going to check the API version 1 authentication. Now, all right. Okay. We're not hitting the API. Which I'm not happy with. Alright. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go back into here. We're going to do that. We're going to double check this. Alright, we're still not hitting it. I'm going to double check in... And the URL's back down in here again. No, it would have actually been under local. We have the URLs. We got something like that. Yeah. All right. We did have this working before. Should be hitting that before hitting that. It should be matching on that first. Let me get rid of that because we've got a couple open now. But yeah, it should be hitting... It should be hitting the coffee. So with the public one, we got coffee. Yep. We need a / at the end of it. All right. Oh, sorry, a video coming through. I don't have a / in there. But if I go back into here and I go public, no, I want the base URLs. I'm going to put this one back in, and then we're going to try authentication again. All right, cool. Now we're here. Sweet. All right. So we won't need a destroy. We definitely don't need a list. Well, actually, just bear with me. Oh. Might need to create. Now all of these are going to be posts. No, alright. Give me a couple of seconds. I am going to find the better way of doing this. So we'll have views. So we'll have like list viewers, we'll have a def, that's a get though, but we don't want to get. All right, we've got the routes. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I kind of want to do something like this where you got forgotten password, and it might be one of those things that instead now that's a generic view, which we don't want. All right. Once again, I'm changing my mind on things. I'm going to, with the API, I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call it authentication. Inside, we are going to add in a couple of files. Authentication. API view. Cool. We're going to destroy this one. That's fine. And then in here, we're going to also do two-factor API view.py. And we are also going to have forgotten password API view. And we're going to keep these as simple sort of classes. Very, very simple. So if I just copy that, let's just paste that in to all of them right now. Easy done. We'll, of course, implement this properly as we're going through. Does mean that we're going to change the base, sorry, not the base URLs. So that's perfectly fine at the moment. The public one is fine. It's the internal one which we're going to change. So we no longer have that. So we're going to go, oops, from NearBeach.use.api version 1.authentication .to, actually, we're just going to import two-factor authentication and forgotten password. That will that'll be authentication view, two-factor view, forgotten password view. We can comment those two out at the moment. We can put that in. Now, if we go to the authentication view, that'll be fine for the moment. This is just testing. Nothing's working. I'm just going to reload everything. Going to stop it because it didn't pop up with this. All right, stop. Now rebuild. Yeah, all right, cool. So I'm going to need to deal with the routes on this. So with the views, we've got all of that. Yep. All right, cool. We'll need to throttle stuff. That's with simple routing. And that's what we need to do as a view. And that's just as a path. I'm just going to refresh, stop and refresh. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. I think that will be it. Oh. No. All right. I'm just stripping everything down to what we just need. Like so. I'm gonna stop and start again. Alright, this has been fine. Gonna hit authentication credentials not provided. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Authenticate. So, I want to go into the authentication API view, authentication token all right, cool. Yeah. Sorry, we've got a few other things in the system at the moment. We're just pulling everything out just to see if this will work. All right, cool. We've got everything in there. Now, in this sort of case, this is never going to be a get. This is always going to be a post. So we will be doing this as a post to the authentication views. We also need to make sure that the other ones will work as well. So what I've got to do is in here, I've got to do two of those. And I've got to do forgotten password. Oh my god, escape, work. I can see that I'm pressing here. And then authentication to factor. Like so. Now these will be on different things. So what we want to actually do here is we want the forgotten password and the two-factor API. We just put in forgotten password down here. For forgotten password as view. Yay, easy done. And then we go two-factor view. Easy done. I'm just going to stop and reset. So I'm going to refresh. Method get not allowed, that's perfectly fine. I'm happy with that. Authentication credentials not provided, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to accept that. And same with that. So those particular work, but if I do a spelling mistake, it goes all the way down to here. And welcome, Crimson. Crimson, how are you going? Hopefully you're going well. Welcome. Alright, I can get rid of that. We're happy with all of that. Now, in the case that if someone goes API version 1 and they put in the wrong endpoint for it, we don't want them going to this particular page whatsoever. What we want them to do is go into a proper 404 page. However, this won't return back a 404. This actually returns back a 200 because that page falls back on top of everything and it goes, all right, cool. You want the front-end routing to handle this. So what I got to do, Django REST framework, 404 page. Yeah, how can I do this? Alright, Django REST framework. We'll probably use a view set. Oh, but we need a return response. Because we want the 404 to hit all the different methods. Oh, sorry. Very good. Easy done. Not a problem. What I'm going to do is page not found API view. We're going to copy the coffee. Just going to paste it in. This is just temporary sort of stuff at the moment. We're going to call this page not found view set. Easy done. Yeah, we're excluding it from everything. Essentially, we'll be editing all of this to literally say the same thing over and over and over again. I don't think we can do that up here. Yeah, I don't think... Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. So that's perfectly fine. We'll just have a custom sort of messages being like, listen, you're just 404 not found. And we'll wire that up at the public side of things. Actually, no, it'll still be internal. Yeah, it'll be internal. It'll be at the last. All right. Let's have a look at this. So if we got the base, it hits public first and then internal. So we want it to happen in internal. When this actually happens, we want this to actually happen. So we've got something like that. We're just going to paste that in. We are then going to import from NearBeach.views API version 1. We're going to have page not found, import page not found on set. Easy done. And we've just hit an ad break. So I am going to go on to add to that. So those on YouTube wondering what's actually happening, we run ads every half an hour on Twitch. To stop the pre-rolled ads, they suck. We do this. So yeah. Hopefully everyone's going well. We've got about a minute left of the ads. So yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping to get this this sort of the login API sort of done. Hopefully tonight. I don't think it will be done tonight. At least getting it set up so it's ready. The idea being is I want to get the login sort of stuff sorted first, and then from there, yeah, get the other API endpoints up and running. Yeah, and then start implementing all the different fields and stuff like that. We'll still be working on the mock-up. That will still be happening, especially when we want to test things out and so forth like that. So yeah, it's a lot of work to do. a lot of work, and I want to get this out as soon as possible. Anyway, welcome back, everyone. Okay, so this is going to be called page not found. Easy done. We're happy with the name of that. If we go over here and we've got like the two-factor again, it should... Oh, we've got a problem. Oh, hold on. This is where we'll need... We'll need the simple router again. This one will be called... Oh. Hang on. Oops. Do that. Stop and rerun. I'm just gonna stop. There we go. All right. Error in your URL has an invalid view. There's an invalid view past that. All right, no, that's not what we want. All right, so I'm just going to comment that out for the moment. We are going to comment this one in. And then this becomes a problem. Yeah, all right. I think I'm just going to simplify this. My password. I found stuff. Page not found stuff. Wait. There it is. I might not make it a view set then. What I instead will make it is an API view. And this will just become that. We've got to import this. That's perfectly fine. That's just going to boop and then doing it like that. Easy done. Get rid of the view sets up here. We'll need the status still. And then down here, we're gonna remove all of this. So it's just gonna be at new static method. We'll return a response. Oops. All right, so what we want is data equals, and then error, page not found, and we want the status 404 not found. Let's bring one shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So we've got the get. We're going to do the post. We're going to do the post. Let's get this post. Here it is. So connect. We pretty much want all of these. So I'm just going to put this up here like that. We're just going to go through and go connect. Cool. That one's done. Delete. Cool. That one's done. All right. I'm just going to find a better way of doing all this. So we're going to do trace first. And then we're going to put post. We've got patch. Options. I'm just covering all my bases at the moment. Head. I don't think that's. Get. And delete. We've already got one for delete. That's perfectly fine. Connect. Just need to do that. And that's just meant to cover all sort of bases. Yeah. So if we go back here, oh, we've got a problem. We're going to stop. Going to refresh. It's probably going to be like, oh, these don't exist. We've still got to fix up the URLs. That's no problem. We'll just go back over into the API, not public, but internal. Yep, that doesn't exist. So page not found view. And then we'll undo that. Page not found view dot as view. Gonna stop everything. We're gonna rerun everything. Cool. That's running. There you go. So if someone does the API version 1, it doesn't matter the method that they're using. We're gonna get a page not found. So in this sort of case, I think that's better user experience. For those trying to, work with the API. It didn't take too long to actually implement in that, and I feel like it's very, very simple. Oh, so right, mate. Oh, I need a pillow on that thing. All right. Okay, and I'm going to bring in the soft mat. Okay, make sure that doesn't get overheated. All right, then I can go over there. Cool. All right. Authentication. So at the moment, we've got the authentication. It goes over here. Make a function from method. I mean, that's also another thing we could potentially do. But I'm not going to do that at the moment because I'm going to use this class to split up the code. So you'll have the post and then you'll have a bunch of private internal sort of functions. Functions in here. Where we do a bit of confirmation and so forth like that. So in Django, and we've got user authentication. Yeah, that's all fine. We'll also have a user form. Which we'll need to actually build in a serializer for. All right. So we'll just need a very basic sort of serializer at the moment. Hey Socks, how are you doing? Do you want to say hi to everyone? She's like, no. Well, that's a bit mean, Socks. Oh, sorry. Kind of stretch my back a little bit. Whoops. I don't know why we've got format. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Alright, so we'll need our serializers. So we're going to open up the serializer. We've got a bunch of abstractions and all that kind of stuff. We're going to create a new folder, and the new folder is going to be called authentication, because we want to match the folder structure. Now, in this sort of case, what we want to do is we want to create a Python file, and it's going to be called authentication underscore serializer.py. So the file names sort of match up. That's just to help new developers jump into the system and be like, oh, okay, cool. The serializer for that is called that, and that's how it matches up and all that kind of stuff. We're just going to paste that in the serializer from before. No, that's not what we want. The serializers look like this. All right, they're pretty basic. What we need to do is we need to go into here. We'll have authentication serializer. We'll have a username. We'll have max length. No, there's no max length. We'll have required equals true, because we want this to be required. And the next thing we want, this is also write only is true. That's just to protect stuff, so if anyone uses this to sort of send data back out, it just won't work. We've got the character field here, required true, write only true. We won't need any of that other information. So this is just basic username and password. And what we've got to do is we've got to get the data and put it into here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We can do validations on top of this. So for example, we could, with the serialization process, we could get it to get the user itself. So we've done that in the past. So a good example would be, if we go back into here, let's go back into NearBeach. Let's go into NearBeach. Let's go into serializers. Let's just go into Kanban board serializer. So in here, with the Kanban board, we'll also show the column and users and so forth like that, and we can actually do that. Now we've got the users serialization like that, and I'm just wondering if we do that here and if we can just nick the user serialization. We do have a user serializer already, and this one was fine. There's nothing wrong with this at all. In fact, I don't know why we don't have a folder called user in here. Oh, we do. User API serializer. Yeah, that's something a little bit different. So what we want, user underscore serializer .py. We're just adding in that. We're happy with that code so far. With no changes that we need, because we'll need the ID, username, first name, last name, email, profile picture, and picture path. Which, yeah, which we'll need. So in this sort of case, with the authentication serializer, so where we use this, this would be, let's go Kanban board again. We don't have who it's assigned to. We have a group list. All right. But yeah, we'll be doing, yeah, it's something like that. That's what we want to do. Just pasting that in for reference. So the username, instead of a car field now, or I'm just thinking if it will actually find it. Yeah, all right. Sorry, there's a couple of ways we can solve this. One, we can have it as a car field and assume that it's not going to match up whatsoever. And then we do that check. And if it doesn't match up, we then send back an error. Being like, username, password don't match. Instead of having it try and serialize it in. And I am going to go with the former. So instead of it serializing it in, we want to run these checks ourselves. So what I want to do is, under the application API, I also want to close a bunch of these now that I don't need them open. Still keeping this one in because it's definitely going to be useful. We can send back the user their information and this sort of structure and stuff like that when they first log in. And yeah, there's other cases where we want that. I'm just minimizing, closing everything. So we're just focusing on those two tabs. So in here, what we've got is a post. And the first thing is we've got to serialize what we've got. So if we go back into what we've done in the past with the views and the API, and let's do a let's stick with the Kanban board just as an example. So in here, what we do is we grab the serializer, the serialized data. And then we check if it's there. All right. We still need to double check all of this. Sorry, I'm just still thinking. I'm going to get rid of all of that at the moment. I'm going to paste that in. That's just for reference. Don't worry about that. So serializer equals authentication serializer request data. In this sort of case, originally we passed through the context. I've forgotten the reason why. In the past, there was a reason why we passed through the context, and I think it was to do with permissions and so forth like that. We needed to find the user, who the logged in user is, and all that kind of fun stuff. To make sure that the user could actually do what we wanted. However, that being said, there was other things in there too. At the moment, there won't be much that we need to pass through with the context, I don't think. I think that is fine. So, if not serializer is valid, we're going to return response. We're going to say serializer errors. We're going to go status find bad request. Ooh. Status. There we go. That should add that up there. We're going to get rid of that for the moment. Actually, no, we want that. Yeah, we want that in a minute. Okay, so that's what we're doing. I'm just going to do a return response, and I'm just going to return serialized data. All right, that's just to stop any issues in the program complaining. Authentication wise, there goes Ox. You're on the big screen now. Oh, authentication wise, we had that under utilities admin nowadays. So there's a couple of things in here that we'll need to actually yank out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that all. I'm just going to go to the very end of the file. We're just going to paste it in. We'll move these things around. Don't worry about that at all. I'm mainly just referencing these at the moment too. So initialize permissions. Yeah, that's basic sort of stuff. Initialize org. Yep, that's basic. Initialize base values. Actually, no, we'll have all of these in the utilities. That's perfectly fine. I won't need any of that because that will be in the utilities. So I want the view. I want authentication. Authentication view. Alright, so I've got to got to remember a lot of this. So we've got to log out too. Which will be fine. Permission denied, no, that's fine. I'm just trying to remember where. We've got the login view. And this is where we overridden what 2FA did, because we needed to do a couple more steps for ourselves. In this sort of case, once again, we're not actually going back to 2FA. We will be implementing our own on top of Django one-time password, which 2FA is on top of, just because we're doing everything as a single page application. All right. So we've got the done. We've got the auth login. All right, Django contrib import auth. We've got the request. All right, user. All right, self.get user. Oh, that would be another thing. That, all right. Yeah, that's. Let's just go over here. So authenticating users, we'll need to import authenticate. Like so. All right. And then we delete user equals something like that, else, and so forth like that. All right. So we're going to authenticate that, and then what we've got here is we'll have serializer.username, and then that will be serializer.password, pretty stock standard stuff. So if user is not none, we then need to sort of deal with the whether or not the user has 2FA on or not. If they've got 2FA, what actually happens is the system will send back a different response. And we'll use the serializer for that. Just because it'll be one serializer for all of it. We can flag what's going to be read-only and so forth like that. That's not going to be a problem. So we'll have a status field that will be an enum. So it'll contain error, success, or 2FA, or two-factor required. Yeah, all right. Oh, we've got an ad break. Okay, hopefully everyone's going well. I'm gonna try and reach over here to the cube now. Oh, I'm gonna lose a lot of weight, don't I? Yeah, I've done something. It's one of my muscles in my back. How are you, socks? Yeah, so just figuring out how we're going to rewire this again. Hopefully it won't take us too long to do, because once we've got this rewired, it means it doesn't mean much, it just means I've got the login page done. But also at the same time, means I'm getting some work done, which is nice. So yeah, hopefully that gives me a little bit more motivation to sort of create more sort of widgets and so forth like that. So yeah, and also building up the API. Which reminds me, I've got to look into partial updates for the API, because there'll be times where I don't want to send all the data to the backend. Yeah, I might want to send bits and pieces. So if user is not none, what I want to do is I want to send back a reason why. Okay, give me a couple of seconds. I've got an idea. With the serializer up here, for starters, I want to put this in alphabetical order. Message equals serializers dot character field. Required false. Read only equals true. Cool. Read only should be up at the top. And then we've got to do that. The other thing I want to do is I want to do status element of PQRS. So status will equal serializers. Now I do remember there was some tricky stuff which we got enums to work. Django REST framework enums. So we did something like that. That's enum choice. All right, cool. So under utilities, we'll have a quick look. So we've got a bunch of enums in here. What we can do is we'll have login status enum, easy done. We'll create that. Essentially, I'm just going to copy this. It's a good enough template. Oh, sorry. Enum choice field. Yeah, I don't think that is a thing. Yeah, that's not a thing. Not a problem. What we can do is we can go back to the original code. We can go be like, hey, did you ever do something like this? Enum choice field? No? All right. What about a choice field? Class ordering multiple choice. So we kind of, oh, enum serializers. All right. We did have a serializer for it. And it looks like we wrote our own thing. So I'm going to also do that. So under serializers, that's just enum serializer. .py. Oh, it already exists. All right, sweet. Don't need to do anything. So that's perfectly fine. So what I want to do, enum serializer, I want to actually see how this works. So we've got to do this. Then we're importing that. And then we're doing object priority, which is part of the object enums. And if we go into object priority itself, so if we go down into the utilities, all right. Where's my brain gone? Utilities, there we go. Object priority. Now, I've done something wrong on here because that list of project statuses needs to be imported. Object enums. Oh, all right. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to put that over there. We're going to go into login status in here. We are going to remove that. We are going to get the lazy stuff from Django. And what we're going to do is we're just going to delete all of that. That's perfectly fine. We're going to go class login status enum. And I'm going to do that. Models.text choices. We also need to do from Django.db import models. Like so. We're happy with that. We might as well just go class of enum options for login status in here. We should start doing this for all of our code that we're making. That's one thing that I want to do is actually really document out the code and do best sort of standards and linting and all that kind of fun stuff. So hence the complete rewrite. All right, so our next sort of thing to do from here is to create what we want. So one of the status would be called success. So that will be like that, and then like that. One would be failure. If the login didn't work, we want to send back a username and password failed. Easy done. Oh, sorry, back just. Oh. We also need 2FA. So two-factor required. Easy done. What else do I need? So the user goes through. If it fails at the start, we're going to hit failure. If it fails because username and password are incorrect, we're going to hit failure. If it passes and the user doesn't need 2FA, it passes. If it passes but the user needs 2FA, it will then go 2FA required and send that. Then I think that's it. At least for the moment, all right? We can add more statuses into this as we go through. So in here, we've got status. This is now no longer that. This is where we'll actually copy the project serializers. So up at the top, what we want to do is from NearBeach serializers.enum serialize import the enum field. Easy done. From there, we also need from nearbeach.utils.enums.login status import the login status enum. We'll go down here. This will then become enum field, and then the enum will equal the login status enum. And read only is true. We don't need this anywhere else. This is only when we're sending data back. All right, so now that we've done that, We can potentially put it in the default. And this is where we go login status enum, and we go failure. Like so. All right. Okay. So in here, when it goes through this, what we need to do is we need to place the error into the message field. Is we need to go in here, we need to go serializer dot message equals serializer dot errors, and then we're sending back the data. That way, if someone's debugging this, they can find out very quickly why the front end is not matching with the back end. I'm not too worried about that. Yeah. Alright, cool. So that will send back a response if the serializer is invalid. So what now down here, what we want to do is fuck off. No, don't fill that out. I hate that bug. What we want to do is authenticate the user. So we authenticate the user. Check user is authenticated. So we're going to do that. If the user is none, what we're actually going to do is we're going to go serializer.message user credentials. So I wonder if we've got an error. Nah. User not logged. Now, because we got the default set to bad and all that kind of stuff, that's great news. What we do, return response. We'll go serialize data once again, and status equals status dot. By technicality. So username and password are incorrect. We will have to deal with translations. But that's where the serialized data actually comes into handy, because in the error, I can split out the error to be incorrect login. And what I mean is, something like that, incorrect login. So if the front end gets that status, I can then rely on the internationalization of the front end. So I don't need to translate everything in the back end. So I kind of like that idea. So we'll have error as default, so error will happen here. I don't think we'll need a serialized message here. But what we do need is we need a status here, and that will be the login status enum.incorrect login. Easy done. We do need to import this in. That's just going to be easy. There we go. And then we send back a 200 because in reality, this hasn't failed. If we do a incorrect login on any other site, I'm trying to think of what site will actually. So we go in here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do something like that. We got a 200, which is fine. As you see, we get all of that. So I'm going to stick with that and go, all right, cool. We can send back a 200. We'll do the status thing like incorrect login. However, we do have network authentication. Hang on. Oh, got network authentication required. That's not what we want. Non-authorized. Nah. Unauthorized. Technically not. Because the credentials were wrong. But that could also work. Is we could send back a. No, no. Alright, cool. I'm gonna say 200 should be fine. Actually, now that I think about it, unauthorized. It kind of, yeah, by itself, the message itself, when you're logging in, yeah, it means unauthorized. Alright, cool. Yeah, I like that. So if the user is none, we'll just return back to there. Now the next thing we've got to do is with the two-factor stuff. That's all on the Django one-time password stuff. So this is where I've got to read documentation again. And also, user dot is authenticated. It's not. There's another thing too. So we've just authenticated. But Max, oh really? Django one-time password, log in. Max, come here. Come on. Oh. Alright. Sorry, give me a couple of seconds. Oh. Authenticating users, easy way. The authentication form, yeah. The admin site has permissions, login form, login template name. The token form. Low level API. Oh. Device manager, yeah. right. All right, wonderful test case. Ah, no, that's a test case. We're not. Django two-factor authentication, custom login. So, current step, remember bool, all right, for us, we're not too fussed about the current steps and stuff like that because we're actually separating out everything. So, yeah, I'm not fussed at all. All right, sorry, I'm just playing with the cube a little longer. Oh, socks, really? I'm gonna scratch you, Sermon. All right, cool. Remember bool, yada yada yada. Login. Redirect to device. Connect to self.get user. Alright, signals. Yeah, this is for the 2FA, sorry. Yada yada yada. Yeah. Alright, what's the time? It is 8:47. Alright, it's somewhere in this documentation. Alright. Django one-time password, devices for users. So we go through user returns an iterable of all devices registered to the given user. Returns empty iterable for anonymous users. So user send, yep, all right, cool. Confirm bool. If none, all matching devices are returned. Otherwise, this can be any true/false value to limit the query. All right, cool. Yep. Returnable type, iterable. That's probably what we want. Returns true if the user has at least one device. Returns false for anonymous users. User standard, yep, confirmation. If none, all matching devices are considered. Otherwise, this could be true or false value to limit the query to confirmed or unconfirmed devices, respectively. All right. Yeah, so what I want to do, I want to use that. So the Django one-time password. But I don't know where that is called, so I'm just going to ignore that for a second. What I want to do is I just want to have this down here. I'm just gonna copy that. All right, user is logged in. Check to make sure they don't have any 2FA. All right, cool. So if that is 2FA, then we're going to go serializer dot status equals login status enum dot not success, sorry, two-factor required, and then we return a response. This is going to be 200. Everything's perfectly fine. We're really happy with that. So we're going to go status 200. Cool. This is fine. Everything worked. Now what I could potentially do is I can just go up here and go from Django one-time password dot import user has device. Easy. All right. And then that user abstract user, hang on, let me just sit on that and read that. Thank you very much. User is going to be abstract base user or none equals authenticate user, serializer. Abstract base user. All right. That's way too easy. Use on it's not used directly within the standard authentication call, but the helper function. All right, cool. One-time password, template. We're not using. All right. Cool. Oh, that's one thing. That's meant to be none. Oops. User has device. That's what we're doing. That is exactly what we're doing. Okay. Come on, let me copy that. Okay, I'm just going to authenticate. Oh, just gonna make me go through all of this. I don't want to go through all of that. Ooh, sorry, I didn't realize there was an ad break. I'm terribly sorry about that again. Focusing on this. Abstract base user. I don't know if this will work or if it will throw up an error. Only time will tell. But what we can do is, I did see something actually nice in here. We do have the pre-auth user ID. But, yeah, all right. So I'm just having a quick think how I would tackle this problem. I think what I've got is fine. I've also realized that I'll be authenticating, and then I will have to handle the other stuff. Yeah, all right. So in here, we've got contrib auth, yeah, one-time password, yeah, all right. So, sorry. I'm gonna say this is fine for the moment. We're all happy with that. Log in the user. Oh my god, will this thing stop fucking up? Let me add in a new fucking line, thank you. In fact, I wanted something like that. I do want to handle the first time login stuff here. And what this will do is, NearBeach requires a couple of things in its system when users log in for the very, very first time. One of those things is we didn't want to ship with an admin user. The reason being is when people set up an instance, we didn't want people to quickly jump in and change that password, or cause havoc on a brand new built system and people forget to change default username, passwords and stuff like that. So what we've done is we get the user to in the doc file actually create a basic user. From there they're meant to actually change the password and all that kind of stuff, because the password will be in the Docker Compose file, and that's not really like crash hot. So we need it to build a couple of things, and that's where the first time login stuff actually occurs. So that's under the utilities. That will be the admin stuff. Has problems already. We should still have those groups in there. Oh, that's why. All right, not a problem. Sorry, back again. So we want NearBeach.models. From here for the group stuff, that will be. Oh god, haven't I included the group? No, I haven't. We've got everything else. We've got the abstraction. We've got the MISC. We've got the object assignment. We've got the permissions. Permissions. Dot permissions. Dot group. Import group. Easy done. We can get rid of that one, and then we'll have user group 2. So from NearBeach.models. permission dot permission set dot permission set. All right, cool. We'll grab that one also. At the same time, we can get rid of that one there. We got from NearBeach dot models dot organizations, import organization from NearBeach dot models dot user group. So we've got all of those in there now. So that one should be perfectly fine. This I think we just got to hit this one. Yeah, it's just initialize base values. So oh my god, stop taking me over here when I don't even click whatever you want. So I'm getting a bit tired now. Socks, stop it. Oh, and then we need user pass through. All right, cool. So we've got to do that. In reality, what's actually going to happen is if 2FA won't be enabled by default because we don't have it set up, it's going to hit here, it's going to set everything up, and then it's going to log in the user, which is what we want. Now, if all that initialization has been done, this is fine. This will be like, all right, no, there exists stuff in there. I don't need to worry about that, and it just moves on with its life. Those particular tables won't get overly large. If they do, you're probably doing something wrong. In the sense that no, organization might get large, that table might get large, but the others, no, the permissions should not. All right, so now we've got to log in the user. So authentication and then log in. What we want to do, log in, request user, and then what we want to do is we want to go serializer. Fuck off. Sorry, excuse my French. Login status success. Yeah, that basic sort of status, I kind of want to write this out. Yeah. All right. So I'm happy with that. All right, so the one thing I was going to do was I was going to put in little checks in here and stuff like that to be like, hey, let's authenticate the user, let's do this, let's do that, and so forth like that. So we break down this code to be very, very simple, but we just haven't done it because it's very streamlined, this. We go in, we add in the serializer. If it doesn't, we just return back what we want. We authenticate. If we didn't authenticate, we return back on what we want. We initialize the base values. We check to see if the user has a 2FA device attached. If it does, we return, and then all of this stuff. It might be a case that we get rid of this class. It wouldn't hurt. It's a possibility, and if the other ones are pretty much exactly the same like this, what we could do is we could look at joining them back into authentication view, use it as a view, and then no, I don't think that will work. We could just have it as functions on here in reality, but that's fine. We'll keep moving forward. All right, so what is the next thing that we've got to do? Sock details annoying me. I think that's where we're at with that. If we jump over into in here, I might log out. And I've just realized also we've got to do a logout. I could do a logout thing. So I'm just thinking out loud. We might as well test this. Famous last words. So what I want to do is I want to close all tabs. At the moment, I'm just focusing on the front end. We'll go into the source. We'll go into pages, login app. We've got the login app. All right, there's all of our stuff. There's our component. Oh, okay, we don't need to worry about any of that. All right, components. Sorry, Socks. If you're on the very edge, about to fall off and cause problems, I'm just going to put you over there. We've got the login page. We've got the login page, we've got all this. So we've got the login image, we've got the login panel. Now, we can do this at the login panel level. What we could do is we could create all the view models, which, just remembering, yeah, and then we just got, yeah, all right, cool. Yep. Define model, yep. There we go. So we've defined the models there. We've got the text input here. This is where I've got to go vbind. I don't know. vmodel equals, yeah, username, and vmodel equals password. There. We don't have a method yet, so we need to create the method. So that will be function sign in. That will just return for the moment. We're not going to do much there. We'll need Axios. All right, so or something similar to Axios. Now, originally I picked Axios because it looked a lot like jQuery and I was so much more familiar with it, and it was just quicker for me to run ahead with it and develop with it. This might be the same sort of case where I'm just like, I'm so used to it, it's going to be better for me to actually use it. All right. I'm just looking at what other people have done. Yeah, this person, oh, they use VueJS. Oh, this is the old way though. But that still works for me. I mean, that could still work. Yeah. All right. All right, let's yeah, they saying use Axios too. It's a XHR plugin that works specifically for features in the and above versions. All right, cool. When was the weekly downloads? Is very, very low, so I'm a little bit meh. Yeah, we install it. I don't want to put it on every single thing. So we import it. API client. All right, cool. Let's see what we did in the old version of NearBeach, because I feel like that was set up okay. All right, I'm just going to go back down to the NearBeach level. I'm also all right. We need to go one level up. All right, JavaScript. We've got the app.js in here. So we've got the create app, we've got all that, we've got that, we've got the Axios, and this is what we've done. Now we needed to import these credentials and stuff like that. As we're using the API, we won't need them whatsoever. However, in the odd case that we are send data to the back end, we'll probably need to re-implement that. I'm not too worried about that at the moment. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that at the moment. Okay, sorry, I'm just solving the cube. I'm also trying to think, like, with the API, do we need the cross-site cookies and all that kind of stuff? Possibly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this. We're fine with Axios at the moment. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go npm install Axios. I keep forgetting the how to save to the dev. I tell you what, it's just going to be easier if I just put it in the package manager. So down here, we've got the dev dependencies. We've got this dependency up here. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do Axios in here. We've got the latest version that we want. We'll need to npm install. Cool, easy done. Npm run dev. That's all installed. And then in the, we're going to deal with the login one first. Now, if we have a look at this old code, we've got it fairly high up. All of that's all different now. All right, cool. Import Axios. All right, cool. Yep, we're happy with that. We need the required in here. Oh, isn't this? Oh, I'm used anymore. All right, required. Let's go into the package log. lmno pqr. Yeah, that's not a thing. All right. Yep, that'll work. So we set up the Axios instance. We scroll all the way down to the bottom. And then we store it like that. This is part of the app configure. So it'll be login app. That will then be configure app. And then that will be setup app. All right, easy done. Yeah, I don't know. I forgot what that was for. I know I'll remember one day. All right. All right, so I'm just having a quick think. That should do it. Famous last words. That should do it. And then if we go into the front, define model. Oh, yeah, hang on. Yeah, I've got to fix all that up too. So view model. So if we go into here and multi-vbind models and stuff like that. So username first, last name and stuff like that. We've got to define it something like that. That's pretty easy to do. So we're going to go into the login panel. We're going to define model and we're going to go username. I mean, yeah, we don't necessarily need all of that boilerplate information, and this will be just called password. Easy done. That should make this reload. There we go, perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this off to the left. We are going to have a look at the view itself. We're going to click on the login page. So we'll see in here the login panel. We've got username, undefined, password, undefined. And if we start typing in username and password down here, oh, they should have updated. All right. That is annoying. Yeah, it's passing down there. I'm trying to remember how we got this to work. Model modifiers. So we go into new project, title model. Oh, is valid. I mean, sure, we don't need to worry about that. In this sort of case, we don't need to worry about if it is valid or not. Actually, we could potentially do it. Sorry, the thing I'm thinking of at the moment is for example, if the fields aren't valid, we don't want the user clicking on sign in and we don't want the form filling out and all that kind of stuff. Oh, we're going to ad break. Sorry, I keep missing the ad breaks tonight. I keep getting distracted. So, yeah. With that, what we could potentially do is, we know this field is always going to be an email. It's just because Django. Yeah, we're making this so this doesn't actually work nice with any other applications now. Alright. So I'm just having a quick think about everything. Alright, and welcome back everyone. Sorry, I'm just having a bit of a think about the validation, field validation, and stuff like that. Now this should work. The vModel login panel, vModel username, that should go up there with the username. And that's the is valid. That should be whoop, straight up. And I don't know why. Oh, are we passing props down? No, we're not. We're not passing props down. So we've got login panel. My pain. Yeah, but when I change this, it doesn't change that. But the model value down there does. I'm just wondering if this is a problem on the other pages. Sorry. Because I need that data to come back up. So I'm just going to log in as the admin. Easy done. What we can do, we can then just go straight to the home page. We go into the new project. We're going to open up this. I'm going to open up the view. We are going to... we don't skip links. We want router view, base, new project. We've got the card component here. We've got the card header. We've got the text input down there. So this is the card header. No, we're not sending it down. Oh, sorry, I'm stretching my back again. All right, so I'm going to have a check with this. So what we want to do... So we've got the my component, so const title, define title, and then input that. All right, cool. VModel binding, so we've got the username, VModel, first name first, like that. So that's the template. Yep, it's all fine. I want child components, as in like what do we do? So we've got that. Div. Click increment. All right. Yep, that's fine. Okay. The return value is defined by the define model. It is a ref. It can be accessed and mutated like any other ref, except it has two-way binding between the parent view and the local one, which, yes. All right, child view. Props. Define props emits update model value. Okay. And then the parent model value foo. Okay, so it's done a little bit differently nowadays. As you can see, it's a bit more verbose. However, it is helpful to understand what is happening under the hood because the defined model declares a prop. You can then declare the underlying props options by passing to that model. Okay, required true. Which, that text editor, if we go down here and we go to that declaration and stuff like that, in here, we admit that we've got the props, define model. We can always do that. All right. Input. There's the V model. So when we change that, it should go upstream. We declare it as a. All right. No. I think I get it now. So up here, instead of this, it should be ref. I think it's got to be that now. So we've got this, we've got the anonymous base, we've got the login page, we've got the login panel, so we've got the refs there. If I just type in something random, boom, all right, cool. I was doing something wrong. I was calling them a model when they weren't meant to be a model, they were meant to be a ref. Easy mistake. Cool, I'm happy. Because we want this data to pop up here again. So when someone clicks on sign in, they are signed in. Yeah. All right. All right. So. So we're happy with that. We've got the functions sign in. What we want to do now is we should see this, and then we should see a post. Sweet. But first, what we've got to do, const data to send equals new form data. Data to send dot set username is going to be the username dot value, and then data to set password. All right, cool. Set the data we want to send. Easy done. Now, this is one of those things where all right, it's going to be /API version 1 authentication data to send. Then we'll have a response. And the response will be the window.location.ref equals this. So so I was just going to navigate to the dashboard as default. However, that being said, what we could potentially do is we could look at the redirect URLs and redirect to those. I'm not too worried about this at the moment. We're not too worried about the response. And at the moment. Now, another thing which we could potentially do is we might do this at a higher level. We're just testing this out at the moment. The reason being is we might need to, with the two-factor, we might need to change the component, and that's best done at the login page level. So the login page can have a state. If something comes back being like, oh, I need this, we can just change the thing, and that's pretty easy to do. That way we still keep the reference of the login username and password, just in case we need to resend that to the 2FA section, which we probably will have to now that I think about it, because sure, we're authenticating, but we won't have all the, yeah, all right. So I'm just thinking about something. Okay, so this is not working. But it's doing something, it's compiling, so I'm just going to hit refresh. We're just going to type in random stuff in here and click this button and realize that we haven't hooked up the button at all. All right, that was silly. So we'll have a sign in. So we'll do this. We'll just do, yeah, the admin stuff. We'll hit the click. We'll hit the console. All right, yeah, we've got a couple issues. So can't access property Axios is undefined. Now, that's going to be annoying. Because I don't want to import Axios into every single file. Yeah, it's promised to make no JS, so it can run it. Now they've got Vue Axios. Which has a lot of downloads, but the version has stopped, and I kind of don't want to do that. Once again, this is using the old method. Yeah, Axios. Import Axios from Axios. Yeah, best practices. Yeah, we'll be doing all of that. Yeah, that's not a problem. What's this? We don't want jQuery in there. How big is this? Out of curiosity, I'm wondering now. Gonna minimize everything. Let's open up NearBeach. Let's open up the node modules. Let's open up Axios. Package, we've got the lib, got the axios.javascript, which, alright, cool. But I want the dist. Yeah, this is the min file of it. I don't know how big it is. Unpack size 2.0. All right. Easy way to find this out. Go to sites, go to NearBeach, go to npm and modules. Oh, I've got a lot in here. Yeah, no, that makes sense a lot because of all the unit testing and stuff like that. Axios, dist, 55.3 kilobytes. That's adding it on to everything. Which is not what we want. We want to include it once and be able to reference it as a global sort of thing. So what I want to do, view composition API access global properties. We'll have a quick look. So we set all of that up. All right, cool. If API client, what's all this? Axios, yeah, Axios, yep. Create app, provide API client, Axios. Oh, okay, cool. All right. Should I keep that name? I'm not sure, but I mean, we've always had it like Axios, so I'm going to keep it like that. That's fine. What I want to do, go back into, not the text input, the login panel. I just want to go in here and go Axios now dot post. Login data to send. Then we don't need anything to do with the response, but depending what we want to do, it's not. Okay. We need to inject it. Is done, not a problem. And then yeah, API client, and then oh. window dot location dot href /. Don't need the data. Oh, the ref equals /. There we go. I don't know why that's failing. We've got the inject in there. Yeah. All right, try that. All right, cool. Provide, yep. Inject. Okay. I don't care about that line anymore. What I want to do is I just want to get this to work. I'm going to hit refresh. I'm just going to hit the sign in button. Great news. We hit the 403. We got a request back. So there's our username. There's our password. Forbidden. CRF. We do need the CSRF token. However, I'm probably going to call it there. I'm getting very, very tired and sore. Yeah. All right. Let's find someone to raid. All right. Let's raid BTO. All right. Cool. Just waiting for that ad to finish before I start doing anything. But yeah, we're getting there. Once we sort of solve these more issues and so forth like that, we can start running again. Yeah. So the CSRF token is what we need to solve next. That's going to be a bit annoying. I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of research around that. And hold on a minute, it sent it to login. Oops. All right, no, I know the problem. I didn't send it to the API. I'm special like that. But anyway, thank you very much everyone for being here. Let's raid on to BTO. Oh, wrong screen. Sorry, that's my Twitch screen. There we go. That's BTO. Let's put the music on mute. Let's unmute them. And yeah, thank you very much. And for those on YouTube, sadly you won't be able to follow us, but don't forget to like and subscribe. It does help the channel, and I shall see you next time. Thank you.